So if you're wondering what I thought about Black Bag, well, if you guys get me the DVD for my birthday, this is where it's going.
Quiet on the set!
Hey everyone, my name is Ryan. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Today I'll be talking about a spy drama film called Black Bag. Now this film was directed by Steven Soderbergh, and he's done films like Presence, Kimmy, the Ocean films, the Magic Mike films, and Contagion. Who stars in this film? You have Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett, Marisa Abela, Naomie Harris, and Brosnan. Now what is this film actually about? Well, it's about George and Kathryn's characters. They are approached by their boss, and he says to them, hey, there is a mole in the group that is spreading information, very important information, in which these weapons of mass destruction will be released, and they apparently will blow up the world. Now that's a very generic plot, and that's kind of where this movie, to me, well, let's get into the positives first. So I will say that I like the style of this film. I like how it's shot. I think the music in here, it's pretty simplistic, and I think it flows for like the type of music it is. Certain times you'll have like little soft, like little jazzy music, or you'll have like a little bit of like the drums, a little bit of bass, just like really soft, like typical kind of music that you would probably have in like a spy drama film, relaxing kind of music to really guide you through the film. Marisa Abela, I thought she had a very good performance here. I think she is the best out of everyone. She was in the Back to Black movie last year, and I liked her in that as well. And I think, again, she puts on a really good performance here, and I hope that she gets a lot more work in the future, because I think here she's the most animated out of all the characters, and when she was on screen, I really enjoyed her in her role. I also think here that it has a really good cast. There is a lot of talent on screen, and the cast that they have actually put on screen here, I was really into the fact that we had this cast, because there is a lot of heavy hitters within this cast. Now the movie itself is a very heavy dialogue film. There is a lot of talking in this film. There is talking at a dining room table. There is therapy sessions. There's talking at desk and just random places throughout this film. It's a heavy dialogue film throughout the entirety of this film. You also would think the fact that this is a spy drama film that there's some action, right? No. Guess again, because there is no action in this film whatsoever. There's no explosions. There's not really any shootouts, I would say. There's like very small gunplay in this film, but not a lot of action. It is very slow. It drags. You have to be very much invested in the terminology. To me, the plot, it was simple in a way, but at the same time, with it being simple, I do think some of what is into play is kind of just like all jumbled up. Like, I mean, I guess like you can really make sense of it, but at the same time, to me, at times I felt like I wasn't really following it all the way, but at the same time, like I wasn't very intrigued in the plot throughout this film. At one point, we got about 70 minutes in the film, and Michael Fassbender's character is interviewing all these apparent moles that are giving away this information. And when he does this, he's asking them about toast. He asked one of the characters if they pleasured themselves for the day. And at that point, I was pretty much like giving up on the movie. I was like, I don't know if we're ever going to get this movie going. There was one scene that really intrigued me, in which you have Michael Fassbender's character with Marisa Abela, in which they're in this room and he is actually surveillancing his wife. And she meets this Russian official. And I was like, okay, I think this is where the movie is going to pick up. And then it just doesn't really pick up. We get a lot more talking. And that's where, for me, this movie just doesn't work. It's one of those movies that you have to really appreciate this kind of genre. I don't watch a lot of movies like this. Heavy dialogue doesn't bother me if it's done well. And I think with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett here, I thought their characters were kind of bland. I didn't really like their relationship. Their marriage, I really felt like it wasn't really a marriage where I was like, oh man, they have this like strong chemistry with each other, and like I really understand their marriage, and I feel like they did a really good job with, you know, really portraying their characters. I felt like we don't even really get a lot of time with them as a married couple. We don't really see them on screen together, really blossoming this marriage. So to me, it felt like they were maybe like longtime friends that like happen to really know each other, but they're both spies at the same time. And then the fact that his wife is a prime suspect in this movie, and that's how it's advertised, I was thinking it was going to be a little bit more cat and mouse type of games, and it's not that kind of film. It's one of those films where there's certain bits of information that is revealed, but even that information, it's so minimal. And yes, it may have like a little bit of substance to the movie, but to me, it just wasn't all that interesting. I felt like from a performance level, I felt like besides Marisa Abela, I just didn't think anybody really stood out in their acting. I felt like Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, they were just super bland in how they really delivered their lines, and maybe that's just because that's just how their characters were, but that's just how I felt about this film. To me, it felt like a film that was very streamy-like, Netflix type of film, but a film that felt very underwhelming to me and didn't feel very gripping or intriguing. And honestly, if I was even the slightest of tired, I probably would have fell asleep during this movie, because to me, there just wasn't a lot of intrigue as the film was going along. I felt like there were moments, especially like missed opportunities in this film with like Pierce Brosnan. He has been in films like this, like action films and spy kind of films, in which I really think that if he was a character they really utilized a lot more, I think this film could have been better. I also think that if there was a little bit more thrilling moments in this film and not so talky like all the time, I'm not saying you can't have heavy dialogue in portions of this movie, but when it's that the entire movie, it's very hard to feel like you're really just wanting to know more about this story, because the characters themselves, like I said, they're not like really interesting. There's a couple scenes where some of the characters have some fights and they have some differences and there's some drama, so that leads to like a little bit of sparks here and there, but I just felt like as the film kept going along, it just wasn't really picking up, and that is a problem I had with Steven Soderbergh's Presence film, which with that film there was a lot of interesting camera work, but again, it wasn't like a strong story. I feel like here, this wasn't really a strong story. It was a very generic story. Like, how many times have we heard about weapons of mass destruction and blowing up the earth and the world? Like, we've heard that a million times. But you got to do something different to really make it stand out and feel interesting. And to me, this just wasn't interesting. I was bored to tears. I just did not like the film whatsoever, and honestly, like I said, it just wasn't there for me. And I understand that people are really loving this film, and that's great. I'm glad that people are really loving it. It's got really good scores. It's probably going to make okay-ish money, but I think it's probably going to pick up even more on streaming. I guess people really like this genre, but for me, this is basic, bland, nothing more. So as far as the score for this, I would give it a 1.5 out of 5. Didn't like it, like I said. Few small little elements, but just not enough to entertain me or even really feel like I can really even recommend this film. So that's my score on this film. Let me know in the comments, what did you guys think of this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.